So our topic is with Ranko is how to serve people, organizations, communities, and the planet through the their holistic empowerment and regeneration. Ranko is the founder and CEO of Eupolis, very nice name, Eupolis Group, president of the cluster for eco-social innovation developed of Sidra, a co-founder of Argo, an eco-social economy collaboration platform. He's advisor, a coach, an innovator. So, Ranko, I know that your background is from technology, also as Sharon here with us too, from the last session, so you can discuss the points. So with your background in technology and business, please tell us how you came across with this regenerative perspective of doing things, how you came across with this.
Yeah, thanks. First, thanks for inviting me here. I'm very honored to be with all of you guys and really sharing some experiences about good things around the world. And I'm really very excited, not because of this conference, but also because of the opportunities to do something together after this conference. And I'm really very eager to know more about every one of you. So actually, I would like also to share some of my experiences to maybe see how we can do synergies. My background is, as you already said, engineering, but actually even before engineering, I was always actually, during my student age, I was searching for both philosophy and sustainability and all these kind of things. I was nature lover. I was also a person who was pretty frustrated by everything what was happening around me. I even had some kind of deep personal experience about some kind of shortages of the traditional mechanistic view to my health, because I was seriously sick as a young boy and almost dying actually. And after 15 years of trying all conventional medicine efforts, I actually tried, decided to search for myself, and then I realized that maybe there is a better way to solve these issues, and actually through learning to heal myself, I learned a lot about holistic approaches, about system thinking, about how wrong is actually to see symptoms as problems. Symptoms as just kind of signals of the problems. Then actually it really spread around different sectors. Actually, what happened in conventional medicine can be, and treating symptoms can be transferred to any other sector. But actually, at that time in the 80s, when I was doing this kind of interest in holistic approaches, there was no much choice where to study, and I really realized that engineering, but especially automation science and cybernetics, is something like very close to system thinking. And then I kind of, try to combine this kind of engineering approach with this kind of more humanistic or holistic approaches. And this is kind of something which really helps me now combine both worlds. Sometimes I see in social sector lack of this kind of engineering approach or management approach that needs kind of structured approach to problems and solving the problems. And on the other side, in the engineering sector, you lack this kind of understanding for social and this kind of soft issues. And I believe this kind of combination is something that helps me, but I believe can help many other sectors. So actually, this is kind of, during my studies, I already realized that I will not be doing electrical engineering. I will be doing projects in sustainable development. And later on, actually, I realized regenerative development is much more proactive and near to my passion and mission. So actually, I was doing projects, starting enterprises, starting networks, and trying to find a way how to contribute in different segments to promote this worldview. I would say this is a really completely worldview, which is maybe I will just maybe come back to the previous session where we were talking about. Sharon talked about this historic approach. What is missing in this slide is 1 million years before because before we became civilization, we were actually hunter-gatherers, and in our DNA, we all have this kind of egalitarian approach that hunter-gatherers tribes actually were cultivating. Actually, we were more cooperating than competing. We were more synergized with the environment, and most of the so-called primitive civilizations that were living, like Eskimos or Maori or Aborigines or African or South American or Native American, had this kind of philosophy. So actually, this was very near for me. But actually, this is because all these values we already have in ourselves, each of us, and even in our culture. Like I'm coming from Eastern European countries, with a long tradition of cooperative before communism, long before. Actually, we had family cooperatives thousands of years before, and then we have cooperatives in the 16th, 19th century. So actually, we were very open to this kind of cooperative approaches in dealing with issues, with challenges of development. But sometimes we tend to forget, or some external factors sometimes push this kind of memory of different approaches, how to do well together, and how to solve social issues and even individual issues. So actually, I'm very passionate about part of reviving this old wisdom, old knowledge, how to function as human beings, both individually or in communities, but also how to use some new models, technologies, solutions. Because of internet, we are now here. So actually, we don't have to go back to forest, and we need to embrace all what as a human we have to actually create better future, better presence actually. And also, I would like to. There was some question in the previous session, which I don't know if it was responded, but do we have time for regenerative, for slow approaches? I believe we need slow approaches. We don't need revolution. Revolution is always kind of violent, and it had many victims. But we need some kind of combination of revolution, evolution, something which will actually accelerate the process. Because the planet and the societies and communities, especially in this crisis period of COVID, need some solutions kind of very fast, at least in kind of starting the process of giving a direction of hope to people. There is a way how to get out of this road, which seems like a road with I don't know an English word, but one-way road. So actually, we have to spread our view and find new ways. And this kind of things is something which is very making me dedicated, passionate, actually, to combine this, like Sharam said, startup or innovation culture, or even radical innovation culture, and bringing that not only in a for profit or let's say for benefit sector, as someone already said, but in all sectors. I believe that actually transformation should be really holistic, because we don't have time to create small isolated islands of changes. We need to actually embrace all stakeholders in all sectors, help them understand their responsibility, help them empower them, give them tools, give them ideas and also solutions how they can, in their own internal ecosystem, create regenerative change. So we are doing a lot of work with all sectors, public sectors, civic sector, and private sector, and sometimes even mixing all sectors together to actually create this kind of change that is needed. What I was also very interested in the last few slides is something where I have seen something like structure combining public sector, academic sector, environment or ecology. This is something which is very much embedded in the concept of clusters of a new of the fifth level of development. They call it 5 Helix clusters. where actually you have public, private, and civic sector together. You have also community, wider community, but you also have ecosystems, social and environmental systems, and all are part of the cluster. Actually, this is something which is, I believe, very important, that we understand that even environment is our not only resource but also our inspiration, our way how we can create regeneration using both the wisdom and solutions in our natural environment. So actually, we have to create new alliances that will embrace even our environmental and our environments in the process. So we are actually, we were on one point invited by European Commission because it seems that we are the only five Helix cluster in Europe, but that was kind of something which we read in theory in some books, but we were doing that not because of the theory, because we felt like this is something which is the way how to do if you are doing really something which should be regenerative, sustainable in deepest way. So actually, even European Commission is starting to recognize there is a need for new level of connecting stakeholders in the system and trying to find ways how to actually support this kind of processes, both locally and maybe nationally or in the wider European or global level. So this is part of the work where we actually combine all these, as you said, engineering skills, because we are doing a lot of works in for instance, real estate development, where we use urban planning, architecture, construction together with social players, social stakeholders, to create projects together that will be really regenerative, but also using skills from the people who are like biologists or environmentalists, who also bring their skills in the projects. And then we are doing this kind of integrated development projects. We call it agile because we use this kind of methodology of startups into development. We just try to apply this experience of adaptive, fast adaptive planning and executing in all sectors we are working with. So actually, we are now doing agile planning, strategic planning projects for instance, cities, for counties. We are even proposing that at the national level, but we still don't have this kind of support at the national level. We even started one kind of initiative toward the European Commission. We have some kind of number of signatories who are supporting this initiative at the European level, and I would like to share that with you if you will be interested, because I think we should really try to kind of advocate for at the European level to go step further from sustainability to regeneration, because we really don't have time, or we cannot sustain what is not sustainable. Today's situation is not sustainable. We need to be much more proactive, much more radically innovative to create solutions that will not only be neutral but be positive in all elements that were before negative, and creating all this kind of crisis we are facing now.
So one thing that you mentioned is we don't have time enough, because it's a thing that you have in your profile, is that it's time. So I ask you, actually, it's time for what? This pandemic is still the time frame for the time to do it? What do you think about it?
Yeah, in a way, it's strange to say, but this crisis is a kind of gift. It's a awakening crisis, because now everything is just falling on our heads, and nobody can say this is okay. We are all aware that there's something huge is happening, that we are actually we have this kind of earthquake just really smashing all our traditional way of thinking, planning, and everything. And so actually, even the largest corporations are actually threatened. We were cooperating with the cruise industry in Dubrovnik, for instance, and they are almost dead now. Actually, they don't know how to survive. So actually, each industry has big questions, and so this moment for us people who were actually signaling need for this long before this crisis has happened are now easily much better listened by the people. So actually, people can hear us, can understand better the idea of need for change. Because if you have normal business as usual, and you are earning money and everything is going fine, why should you change? If you change, it's not kind of something that it happens intuitively to many people. So actually, it needs some kind of crisis to stop and to rethink. And I believe that this time today is really unique opportunity, but it is very, very dangerous to think that we have time to change. I really deeply believe that we have a very small window of opportunity to do something. Otherwise, we will be like just another dead civilization. There are a lot of dead civilizations in our history, and even in the last century, there were some people who were actually telling that there is no time, because the direction was already in the beginning of 20th century. It is already clear that the way the civilization was heading is not only sustainable, it is not only beneficial for us as a people. Actually, most of the people are suffering if you or not actually having the most benefit of the development we are now actually having as a civilization. So actually, we need really to rethink our civilization, our development, but also our small lives, our businesses, and this kind of moment is really ideal for every one of us to be innovator, to innovate themselves, to understand the challenges, and then to try to adapt. This is the kind of sign of so if you look for evolution is not that the strongest survive, because then we will have only lions and elephants and no one else on the planet. But actually, you have ants, you have so actually, it is not who is the strongest, but who is the most able to adapt, who is most able to create synergy with its own environment. Mm-hmm. And this is which we need to learn as organizations, as individuals, how to recognize this moment, actually to change our business models, how to change our behaviors, how to change all aspects of our everyday life and work to be regenerative for us, starting from us, and then for our other environment. And this kind of concept I'm kind of trying to promote is this humanity 4.0 concept, where actually this kind of awareness is something which I'm trying to promote, that we really need to understand that if we don't take care about circles of ourselves, because this is not we cannot survive without our environment. We cannot survive without we cannot fulfill ourselves without societies. So actually, we need this kind of broader understanding of who we are, and then we will have a better understanding what to do and how to progress in the future.
So actually, Sharon, before in his session, said the crisis, that we are going to have more crisis, and even we need to have more crisis in crisis. During this week, in the middle of this pandemic, we assist in the country that is having a huge economical crisis, as Lebanon is, and we assist that accident that impacts all the world because it's also connected with us. I have this triggering question for you. You think that this humanity, your 4.0 humanity state that you promoted, as we are wanted to evolve to that kind of concept, in this kind of humanity, it would be possible for us to have this kind of crisis that are deepening, or not? Or what do you think about it? What do you think about the increase of crisis, the middle of a huge crisis, and the impact that we are assisting what is happening to us? Because actually that was kind of an environmental accident, not very good procedure, and we are in the middle of the pandemic. So what kind of humanity can we have so that these kind of things don't happen, and how we can make it in that sense?
Yeah, I would like to share this slide, but I'm not so familiar with this sharing slides. But never mind. Actually, in this my concept of four level of humanities, the first level is level of narcissistic humanity, where we actually understand that we are self-sufficient, that we can live as individuals, as our own egos. The second level will be the level of taking care of our. The first one is actually until the limit of our skin. We see our skin, and this is ourselves. The second level is actually to see yourself and to be ready to sacrifice yourself for your skin and for your kin. Actually, for your tribe, for your family, and I believe the most of the humanity today lives in this level of understanding. Actually, you have people who will be ready to give their life for their children, or for their wife, or for their country, any kind of identification which creates kind of tribal awareness. This is awareness humanity 2.0. The next level would be actually embracing all humankind as a really one whole, and really understanding that as a humankind we need to live and support each other in order to create balance, because all these situations with the wars, all these situations are because of this kind of lack of understanding that we are all connected, and we in this kind of cooperative spirit, like it was sometimes, and it is still present in some communities worldwide, you can achieve much more with less risk, less problems at all levels. But this is kind of third level of shift that is needed. And the fourth level, it is a level where you actually accept that you are your skin, your kin, your kind, and all kinds. Actually, you understand that you can't live without air, you can't live without water, you can't live without animals, plants. You can move to Mars, but again, you will need some environment to live. You will need huge support of energy from the environment to live. So actually, this kind of very narrow-minded understanding of who we are creates all these problems around ourselves. If we really understand that we can fulfill our true potential, but by embracing our greatest self, understanding that we have to live in harmony with all levels of ourselves, then actually we start to behave and create regeneration because we are very selfish then. You do that not because you care for yourself and for your greatest self, for everyone around ourselves. So actually, this is mind shift we all need to do, starting from the earliest age. And I always say, start with kids, start in kindergarten, start in schools, learning them that they cannot survive without their friends, without their schools, without their communities, without their forests, without their seas. Actually, they need all that to be what they are able to be. This kind of awareness is something which can help us actually go to the next level of functioning as individuals, as organizations, and societies. And I believe that everything starts with awareness raising, with actually creating this shift in our own way of thinking and working. Of course, as I said, the most of the population today lives either in this humanity 2 level, where we are ready to, actually now everybody's afraid how I will provide food for me and my family, tomorrow.
Maybe you are in a point to go backwards, you think, at this point in time?
Yeah, there are people who are now buying weapons, guns, and they're just thinking how they will shoot someone if they want to come without food. That's completely stupid. But okay, it's one possible strategy that will not create any kind of good for anyone actually. So actually, we really need to promote the idea that we need to create synergistic communities, starting from this is kind of subsidiarity approach where you actually start from yourself and then starting to spread that around in your small circles like local communities. Our whole concept of change is about local regeneration. We call it agile regeneration Odysseys and agile regeneration oases, like places, in deserts, where you actually create inspiring places where people can come and get food, water, even if they come from the other side of the world. All oases in all deserts were inviting for all guests who were coming. So actually, it's creating awareness of abundance instead of awareness of limitations and scarcity, which is actually creating fear. We actually need very little to survive. Every one of us need very little resources to survive. Water, little food, some shelter, and that's all. And if we understand then that there is enough for everyone to survive at that level, if we want to protect, riches, and if we want to create more division of people, then this is not possible, because then then more and more people will be hungry, more and more people will be in fear, and there will be wars. There is a strategy, or actually plan, written by German government in 2012. What will happen in COVID situation with COVID? It was 8 years ago. Actually, you can download it from the German government site, where there is a scenario, and they said it can be that COVID will last 3 or more years, and there will be wars and local chaos with people fighting for food, for survival. But they also said there will be places where there will be safety, there will be harmony, and there will be places where there will be chaos. So actually, we are all responsible to try to create as much or as many possible places which will be harmonized, where people will understand how to cope. Like, for instance, 200 years in islands here in Croatia, we have 1,000 islands. People, when there were crises, they were just all together trying to use very scarce resources to survive, and they survived. So actually, it's possible to survive, but we have to kind of be free of this fear that we cannot survive, that we will be alone. We have to create networks of support and understanding and action, concrete action that will help people find solutions in this situation. So I believe we need to spread this kind of awareness, more a higher level of understanding who we are and how we are actually invited or we have imperative to embrace this higher or wider selves as a reality and take care about them, and then we will be more able to provide solutions that will help both us and the environment we live in.
So working with organizations as you do, with businesses, how you come across of bringing that mindset of bringing that concept of humanity 4.0, the key humanity, as I call it, because it's the keen skin thing. So how you bring that to actually in the way that you pursue as a consultant or the organizations, the business, how you integrate that in some way?
Yeah, it depends on the type of clients. For instance, we are working with different clients, from local governments to regional governments to national parks to businesses, and sometimes you can't come to all people with the same narrative. Actually, you have to adapt. There is huge, very good material about stakeholder engagement. Actually, that was one of the in one of the previous sessions I told you that we had a problem in our own sector, because one of the problems of the sector of this impact or value driven or benefit driven sector is that we feel like some kind of elite. You know, we have this kind of value and nobody else you know, is doing anything like that. So actually immediately you start to create walls, you know, and actually you, and then maybe you have 10 people, 10 organizations in whole country with whom you can work, and this is nothing, you know. So actually it's stupid. So actually we really need to understand that each level of development is worthwhile, trying to help them and find their ways toward this kind of humanity 4.0 approach. Sometimes you just explain them, okay, there are some mayors who just want European money, you know. And then I tell them, okay, you want money, but new European program is Green Deal. You have to embrace environment. Okay, tell me more about that. So actually, you have different narratives for different people, how to open up their minds to some maybe perspectives that are completely, you know, foreign to them. And this way actually create bridges of understanding, and slowly you get people on board. And now actually with mostly all clients, both in business and civil sector already have this value-based approach, and for them it's maybe the easiest way to get them on board of this kind of approach. But private sector especially, and also public sector, they have maybe this might be intrinsic level 3 aspect, or because this is part of their regulation, you know, to take egalitarian approach for all people. So actually they should, at least at the policy level, promote humanity 3.0 approach, and that's enough for starting something, you know.
Yeah.
So actually you enter at that level where you can, when you have open door, even for those narcissistic people, you can help them by showing them that this will help them strive better in their own efforts. But they have to open a bit, you know, they have to understand they can thrive if they cooperate, if they, you know, take into account some other principles like, you know, nature and care for nature and this kind of circular economy or cradle to cradle design. And they are open to listen to that. So actually, this approach of really trying to adapt narrative to different levels of understanding and accepting all these levels of understanding is, from my point of view, very important, and helping us maybe to reach a wider population actually to participate in all these efforts.
Yeah, actually, there's a word that I like very much. It's not just the word itself, it's what it means. And because it's also the team that Jennifer, that cannot be with us, unfortunately, on the afternoon, she was talking about compassion. I think the issue is actually the compassion part of it. And you mentioned that one thing is also us, that maybe us that we are here, we already have a level of consciousness that enable us to look to things with this perspective that we see more united. But we also, a very thing that we have to point it out is what you were saying. It's the level of the others, and we don't see ourselves as higher or lower, but be compassionate for the whole, and not see the others that are not the same level. For example, even industries, maybe we can look at oil and gas industries as the bad ones. No, maybe we could inclusive and being compassionate at the point we needed that, but how we could bring the value that they have, because they also have value. Okay, they exist, but how we, with our consciousness, the ones that have a larger consciousness of things, could bring the most of it and make those organizations do good instead of just looking to do bad. You pointed out a very important thing in the beginning, also with Sharam, because of being a revolution thing and being from the rage part of it. I think all of us need to be compassionate for looking at all these levels as being part of the process too, I think is one thing. And also, I would like to point it out, taking account time. And since I have here you and Sharon, and you also are both from Europe, I think, and us from Portugal, we are part of European Union, and we know that European Union has all these, you already mentioned a little bit of this, as all this framework about sustainability and all. But how do you believe, actually, both of you, and I want to do like a joint thing, believe that these policies, regulations, public funds, these are the solution that help us, at least in European Union, to go towards a regenerative economy, or neither of those? This is not the path, because it's, again, public in funds, and maybe what you could say about this, if you want to share something about both experience, both of you.
Salam, would you?
You go ahead. I think.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Maybe you can start, and I can join. Yeah. Okay.
Do you want me to say something? Shall I have a go? Okay. So first of all, it's again a pleasure to be here and hear all of you, and Ranko's views are really refreshing, even because we hear so much of our own language and things, but I hear so many new ways of seeing the same thing. That's wonderful. So I think that I would say that the Green Deal and all that, it's really, I think it's going in the right direction. I think a lot of people saw that got weakened with this the final budget deal. So let's see what happens with the Parliament and the final approval and so on. But I think that the crisis has also taken some of the attention away from the green, because there's some issues with obviously the immediate economic downfall and the jobs and so on, and social safety nets. So I think the green issue is out there, but it's been diluted somewhat by the big forces in the lobby space, which we know that they've always been there. But the intention has been very good from the European Commission and, from the new Commission. I think it's very visionary on a global space. So I think it helps us have the language and the way of talking about something, and even the funding to do something different. But I think that really the big issue here is down to us. The amount of European funding that doesn't get spent or gets badly spent because people don't know what to do with it, and there's not enough creative projects to really put it into action. Because to get access to these funds and to really direct them into the right projects is not an easy thing to do, and it requires some creativity and honesty. And I think we need to build the ecosystem to, on one hand, channel the funds to the right businesses to create enough projects that are really authentic, And I think a good example was, I did a shot in the dark and wrote a proposal, thinking it's a bit like, all this regenerative talk and everything is going to sound a little bit like hippie to them, and they're not going to quite get this idea of a slow accelerator. And we're one of the 4 projects financed at the European level. I think it's knowing how to speak the language and speaking it and actually talking and connecting is really important. And the final thing I would say is that we have to do lobby, in the same way as the big businesses do lobby, in the same way these other associations do lobby. We need a regenerative European and global association. We need ecosystems. We need to come together, be present in dialogue with the European policymakers. And we need to demand funding for slow accelerators, for engaging in these 5 helix or quadruple helix models We need to basically be active, otherwise we won't get hurt. That's it. Sorry, Liliana, your mic?
Ranko, can you please, it's you that is trying to share something with us?
Yes, I succeeded to. I just wanted to be. There was some question here in the group about some things. Maybe I can just use some of the slides to answer the questions. So, do you see the slides now?
Did you share the bottom left?
It's all in black.
Okay, you need to share the right screen, I think. Yeah, now I see it.
Right, now we see it.
Okay, so actually, just a moment.
You can put in presentation mode. Yeah, great, perfect.
Now I can't see just a moment. Okay, actually, what I wanted to share with you is this. There was few questions about how to turn this into practice. I just wanted to share this kind of short presentation with a few images of what we were doing. Also, this is the history of all of my efforts. Here, I can send this presentation to some if you want by email. But we are doing a lot of different projects. I would just first make reference to your question about the system. Most of these projects were done using EU funds, but as Sharon already said, the problem with the EU funds, they are very slow, they are not agile, they are maybe sometimes even not able to create a sustainable change because they are too narrow, too focused, sector focused, and we need integrated approaches. But most of the projects I have proposed recently has created some kind of support from experts of European Union who actually are proposing us to advocate for these kind of integrated approaches, and they say this is something which the European Union desperately needs and looks for, but they don't have examples. I will share you some images of the concrete projects I have been doing. This is one old project doing with schools and kids. We were developing a lot of materials and creating kind of initiative involving multiple generations together, doing regeneration projects, small regeneration projects in schools and around schools, but then in the communities using the actually youth and children power as a change maker. Actually, it is kind of a way how you can reach a huge number of people using institutional setup of formal education and actually changing things. So actually, we created hundreds of small projects with kids, embracing all kind of stakeholders, even disabled persons who were also part of the project. And actually, it is a way how you can spread some concepts and values and ideas in the local communities very fast. I will just skip these all slides because there are a lot of things we are doing here. Because we don't have time. This is this multiple health cluster. What we are doing actually, we are working on the at the moment on several levels. We do pilot projects. For instance, we do projects with communities like Dubrovnik, Beograd, Murter, Kornati, Split City, and some county levels, Dalmatia County, where we actually do strategic planning involving agile regeneration as a basic principle. So actually, we use agile planning and development as a tool to respond to both normal needs before COVID, but also embedding COVID situation that just kind of multiplies or amplifies the need for regenerative approaches, both in social and economic aspects of regeneration. Actually, these concepts were what I presented to, for instance, JASPERS. This is European Commission's technical assistance for strategic projects, and they said this is amazing. They actually wanted to propose that as a kind of model for European Union. But we need, as they already said, we need advocacy. As Sharon said, European Commission has a lot of people advocating for different approaches. Regeneration needs its own advocacy initiatives. We create projects in real estate using this multiple intelligence spaces and systems concept. We don't have time to go into detail.
Yeah.
But we work with islands. We work with tourism sector, and we did develop this kind of campaigns and digital platforms for regeneration. So actually, there are a lot of aspects. This is one of the projects we were doing, like regeneration of cultural heritage, creating co-working spaces which actually embed these regenerative concepts. And actually, it's a lot of things that are already done, some things that are in progress, but just to this is this kind of multiple intelligent concept in actually designing space where actually you have from physical all around to the spiritual aspect of development. Actually, all these aspects are very important to understand how to approach different sectors. So I will not we don't have time maybe to go in detail, but there was a question about how concretely to turn this into the practice. Actually, it is combining this kind of policy level into the projects that respond to the policy level, but also add something which is not part of the policy level, but we want to have to become part of the policy level. And this is the vision of regenerative development, that we as individuals can somehow adapt our narrative. We can adapt our narrative to the existing policies, to the existing calls for proposals, and to then propose this as a step further from sustainability, a step further from green, because both green and sustainable is great, but we need a step further. We need proactive approach that will regenerate environment, that will regenerate social system, that will regenerate economic system, and especially after COVID, this is clear to everyone. So actually, we are in a good position at the moment. We have a situation where we can actually have a say in different places, but what we miss is critical mass. We miss critical mass, and that's why this conference is important, because we are still very few of us who understand the need for regeneration, for regenerative development. If we just try to look at statistics in Europe, maybe there is 30 or 40% people who are for sustainability. But for regeneration, maybe it's few promos or something, So actually, it is still something which is need to be really pushed forward, both in kind of awareness raising, in policy level. So we need to get together and find ways how to
So to wrap it up, I would like to ask you a question. So what is for you co-creating a regenerative world, and how are you personally and professionally contributing to it?
Yeah, that's one of the most favorite words to me, co-creation, because I like creation very much. I'm a person who likes to create things, but it's always much better to create together. Each of my projects where I was doing were great, not because of me, because of the people who were inside the project together, creating really amazing things together. So actually, co-creation is a really huge gift to every one of us, to our communities, but we have to learn how to co-create things, because this requires preparation, this requires awareness raising. There are a lot of fears, there are a lot of obstacles toward really full productive co-creation. But the only way to create solutions for complex problems like we are facing today is just getting people together and talk together and find ways how to go out. Like many times in the history, even in the wars, in all other challenges we were facing, only communities that were able to cooperate, to do together, were surviving. So this is the time we are now. Actually, we need to, but we need to cooperate at the global level. This is so big challenge that we need really to get together all the minds who are forward thinking, who have this kind of deep understanding, to get together and then to create some kind of initiatives that will create change together. And that's the co-creation I'm dreaming of, and I would like to see even after this conference.
Actually, hopefully, we want to embark. That's the purpose. So that's why we are talking about co-creation. Such important for us as a Marna Vida here. And that is why it's so wonderful for us. And even personally, I think that we have to go ahead from the grants and from the funds as we talk about it. So maybe we co-create something where we could not depend on the European Union, for example, to go ahead and really promote regenerative businesses and economies and society as general. So we hope as Marna Vida to really engage on that. I think Alejandra only has one question for you, Ranko, a very simple one.
Yes, I appreciate very much your talk. So I just wanted to ask you where the people that are interested in the topic can learn more about your project and your work. Do you have a site or books or
yes, I will share a
please.
slide of this presentation again if I succeed to do that now. Yes, and then you will see my contacts. Do you see it now? Do you see the slide? Yes. So actually, you can see the mail address. You can see this website of this Agile Regeneration Odyssey 2020. It is an initiative which I would like really to invite all of you and to kind of try to network with. It is kind of campaign and also kind of platform for cooperation, but of course what Sharon said, I think there are a lot of similar things we need really to see how we can help each other, not duplicate efforts. So maybe Sharon has something what we need, or maybe we have something what she needs. So actually I really support us to just share what we have, what we are doing, and this kind of contacts here are for all of you to send any kind of inquiry or interest or question or proposal or idea. We will have also some kind of questionnaire for all that want to know more. That's how we can send you some materials. Unfortunately, some of the materials is in Croatian, but we are trying to prepare or translate most of the material now for international audience. So actually, we will try to spread as much as possible this material as soon as possible in both electronic and online channels that are available. So please don't hesitate to contact me or people in our team.
Thank you so much. Once again, Ranko, Sharon, all of you, we are very grateful for having you here, having your time. Definitely we'll continue, at least us, co-creating this, and the ones that are here that want us to join us. We are all one, and that's what we are trying to promote as Humanity 4.0. It's a humanity that is one. So thank you so much.